So welcome everyone to this first talk of our spring sesshin, Crossing Over, Fully Arrived. This is the heart of Zen, awakening to who we truly are, crossing over to the other shore, prajna paramita, wisdom beyond wisdom, only to find it's where we've been all along. The other shore is this shore, realized, clarified, or as Dogen says, actualized. The living heart of Zen is none other than your own heart. So we come to these 4 days of immersion and practice with everything we need, with all our longing, commitment, and curiosity, with our skin bag bodies and all that being human entails, with the ingathering of support that we offer and receive, and with the marvel of our capacity to return again and again to the moment at hand, here and now. I'm reminded of Scott's talk last week on Hakuin. Hakuin struggled to awaken, struggled with his own selfish aspiration and with pride. When awakening finally came, arriving at the other shore of prajna, the core of Hakuin's realization was this: wisdom is compassion. Nothing but compassion. During his talk, we twice chanted Hakuin's Song of Zazen. The last line of that sutra is, "The place where you stand is the pure lotus land, and this very body, the body of Buddha." Crossing over, fully arrived. This place, this body, now. Scott encouraged us to come out of our COVID-induced chanting shells and to feel free to harmonize. The day after the talk, one of the residents at Mountain Cloud sent a link to an astoundingly beautiful rendition of the Heart Sutra. It's intoned by a group of chanters from Plum Village in mesmerizing harmony. You can look it up on YouTube. That's the title they gave it, Harmony. Another name for Sangha. The recording begins in a single voice with the phrase, "Insight that brings us to the other shore." Then comes the sutra. Harmonies weaving in and out, voices in different registers, moving together, glistening apart. Resonance, dissonance, open intervals, perfect fourths, fifths, octaves, resolving in unison. All of it, one harmony, one manifold single sound. Prajna paramita, wisdom beyond wisdom, insight that brings us to the other shore. Master Unman once said to his monks, this recorded teaching, every day you come and go asking endless questions. If you were crossing a river, how would you do so? A longtime resident of the monastery responded, step. The record says Unman was highly pleased. Crossing over, fully arrived. The step is the shore. Check it out in Kinhin, in walking meditation. One step. The last verse in the Mumonkan, or Gateless Gate, begins with these lines. This is Mumon's verse at the very end. Before a step is taken, the goal is reached. Before the tongue is moved, the speech is finished. That's the end of Mumon, or woman's remarkable collection of koans, 48 cases. The beginning is Mu, Joshu's dog. It's the tradition every time we gather in sesshin to start with this case, this koan, Joshu's dog. Every time. But there is only one time. Right now. No before, no after. So as one of these amazing koans puts it, listen, listen. So with that, just a caution around listening to a teisho or a dharma talk, a Zen talk. This is not a lecture. It's not a discursive exercise. There's no need to remember and no problem if you don't understand. If something strikes, just let that resound. Otherwise, just a rush of words, like that river. So here is case one. A monk asked Joshu in all earnestness, does a dog have Buddha nature or not? Joshu said, Mu. What is it to be given this koan as the monk is here? What do we receive when we hear the monk's question? Does a dog have Buddha nature or not? Is this about a dog? About the wondrous fact of Buddha nature? About the monk? About us? What if we Hear it without ears. Mo. Joshu would have been an old man at the time of this exchange, well into his 100 years of practice. Soft spoken, a sparkling light coming from his lips and mouth when he spoke. His responses are simple and utterly fitting, immediate. Dogen thought Joshu alone among the masters, all these ancestors, that he had forgotten any trace of awakening. He's just alive, just responding. In a verse to another case, Mumon writes, Joshu opening his mouth showed his gallbladder and revealed his heart and liver. This complete exposure of what? This borderless world, the whole of it, the fact of who and what we are. Just this move. Joshu answers the monk's question immediately, unreservedly, entirely, not didactically, not with a no that has an opposite. He presents the whole matter. And he gives us a way to practice. All our questions, nothing but mu. All our doubts, nothing but mu. Heartbreak, joy, that single step, nothing but mu. Crossing over, fully arrived. What is this shore? Mu. What is the other shore? Mu. How do you get across? Mu. When Ryan Roshi was asked last summer how he prepares a teisho, how do you prepare for a teisho? He'd just given the first talk on mu. He prepared, he said, by sitting and looking into it deeply and just checking that when mooing, everything is coming up. Everything. One entirety. What shape does it take? Dogen came to realize it clearly, this shape as mountains, rivers, the great wide earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars. What shape is mu? How does it function? Standing up, sitting down, laughing, crying. each gesture, all of it, to realize mu is to become it, to become what you are. It seems so obvious, so near, and so inscrutable. Mumon wrote, just because it is so clear, it takes us longer to realize. His verse goes on with a word of great encouragement, the fact itself. As soon as you see the candlelight is fire, you will realize the rice has long been cooked. Already so. By nature, your nature, clear, crossing over, fully arrived. This intrinsic clarity, it's there, it's here. So how are we to see this borderless world, this capacity and dynamism that isn't bound or anchored to a fixed center called I? Sitting with this, I suddenly heard my root teacher, Ruben Havito Roshi, just offering, saying, let that mu be the focal point of your entire awareness. Let mu be the center of your whole being, nothing but mu, not something out there that is called mu, not even an idea that you have to define as mu, losing yourself in mu, allowing mu to be the gateway to that which is nameless and boundless. Ruben speaks of a realm of boundless and infinite unconditional love. As Hakuin said, we're soaking in it. Forget the self. Forget that little self that has this or that preference. Allow this moment to be thoroughly realized just as it is, just this moment. All the universe, all eternity, all time, all space. It's not quite precise to say it's contained in this moment. There is just no container. And yet, right here, the center of the universe, you could say a center with absolutely no circumference. To put that little I there is blind narcissism. Heard Ruben use that word, narcissism. And it's like putting blinders on. It's simply not so. And hard to fathom then what we miss. We're trying to focus through this little lens. That Buddha called it this, like looking through that long bamboo. When the world in its entirety is the lens. One Dharma friend I meet with fairly regularly said, how sad to live this life as if who I am is limited to me. So how to forget that little self? How to forget the self? To see it as it truly is to forget it. Already gone. Yamada Koan Roshi liked to say, the practice of Zen is forgetting the self in the act of uniting with something. Anyone, something. Years ago in the Zendo at Maria Kannan Zen Center, there was a photograph of Koan Roshi, Ruben's teacher. And it's beautiful. He's fairly young, late 30s, 40, and he's just holding, in his simple robe and holding a lotus. And already just his face so soft and clear. And underneath the photograph, in his own hand, he inscribed these words. When your consciousness has become ripe by true zazen, pure like clear water, like a serene mountain lake, then anything may serve as a medium of enlightenment. Any one thing. A dear friend in our Sangha in Dallas was an amateur photographer. And he knew that I was very drawn. I was very fond of that picture. And so he took a picture of the picture, kind of wonderful, and framed it and gave it as a gift. And not too long after that, at the close of a sit one evening on the second floor of this old church, I'm not sure who it was, whoever it was who blew out the candle and turned off the lights and locked the door, didn't notice, as it'd be so easy, that there was still some flicker, some live ember in that wick. And lo and behold, about 2 o'clock in the morning, all of these signals go off and the whole altar is consumed in a blaze. Thankfully, there was a big hole in the floor. The altar was gone. This is a replica of the one that was sitting on that altar, just gone. Ryon Roshi has said, you are here working on mu, maybe still not seeing. But because mu is whole, the power of this whole mu awakens you. It realizes you. That's the invitation. Get out of the way and let the 10,000 myriad things come in. Dissolve into mu. Let mu occupy everything. Let it prevail. Every time I hear that, it's doing it. One student sitting with Mu said, it's like releasing a drop of tincture into a pool of water. Tincture, like ink or maybe some medicinal liquid. Just a drop, and it spreads out, pervading everything. Students said, or it's like sitting on top of a trap door. Sitting on your mat, on the ground, maybe in a chair. And yet, that groundless ground. Another student recently shared this short description of practice. Some sits start out in the attitude that Mu is an object out in front of the mind. This morning, that position gave way early and easily to allow Mu to come from way back behind the small me. Inhales seemed to reach somewhere prior to and without limit, before the bifurcation into the slightest yes or no. The student wrote, I watched that split happen over and over, and my exhales cut the ties as I dropped back into Mu, where I was not yet known. That's a clue. Not yet known, before knowing. To drop back into Mu. Actually, you can't leave it. Someone else in this our rich community of practice, this amazing web of support, said, the Mu I am mooing is the same Mu as Joshu said, and the monk heard. No distance, no time. All the ancestors are not just here. One body. This body. My whole body. Come into your body. The body is always only here. All of it. Earnestly sitting with Mu, one practitioner asked, can a broken-hearted person be whole enough to pass under the lintel of the gateless gate? Poignant question. It's been asked in so many forms. Can a broken-hearted person be whole enough to pass under the lintel of the gateless gate? Do I need to be fixed, sewn back together before I can awaken to who I truly am? Before I can come home? There's a teaching from the Hasidic tradition about the many doors in the mansion of this world, like our Dharma gates, boundless. Many doors, many keys. But the teaching says the master key, the key that opens every door, is the broken heart. Cannot be more whole, nothing excluded. Whatever bit of this world we point to or pick up, a shard of heart, a doubt, a wayward thought, each bit is all of it. In his verse to this case, to Mu, Mumon takes up the monk's dog and says of it, the perfect manifestation, the absolute command. Dog, monk, each one sitting here, the perfect manifestation, the absolute command. Buddha nature, awake nature, that's it. Nothing to do with having or not having. It's just what you are. Whole. Thoroughgoing. Whole. And empty of anything that can be divided. Passing under the lintel of the gateless gate. What if you are the gate? Can you pass through? About this gate, another student wrote, there is no key to a swinging door. Just one swinging. Free. And nowhere but here. Nowhere. But now, nothing but Mu. There's a verse by Master Engo that points to this. He's got a history in the Hekigan Roku Blue Cliff record, but his verse is often cited alongside Mu. It's just 4 lines. Here it is. It is like cutting a reel of thread. One cut, and all is cut. Like that master key. It is like dyeing a reel of thread. One dip, and all is dyed. That one drop of tincture. One cut, and all is cut. How will you cross over? Step. Or cough. Or have an itch. Or hear a sound. One dip and all is dyed. Well, I'd like to close with a poem that springs from another of Joshu's iconic and very powerful koans. So kindred to Mu. The koan is called The Oak Tree and the Garden. The poem is written by a member of Mountain Cloud. Here's the verse. It's called oak tree. I've seen you from every angle, bathed in pink morning light, trimmed with glimmering snow, hidden in your green summer sheath, dripping in the pouring rain. But still, I don't know you. Your hulking roots plunging into the dark earth, your colossal skeleton reaching into the vast sky. I wonder, how deep do you go? How far do you reach? You answer, oak tree. Gazing at you from my car in the school pickup line, I suddenly realize maybe it is actually you who is gazing at me. Bathed in pink morning light, springing from the dark earth, reaching into the vast sky. I wonder, how deep do I go? How far do I reach? You answer, oak tree. How deep do you go? How far do you reach? So let us take this as an invitation to come home to our practice and let it unfold. High, wide, deep, boundless, and right here. Just right here. Thank you for this shared practice.